architecture. In every project, 3 layers will be available. One is called front end. Second one is called back end. Third one is called database. What is front end? Front end contains user interface. So if you take any application, user interface will be available, backend will be available, database will be available. So let me take it as a front end. Let me take it as backend. Let me take it as database. So 3 layers will be available if you go for any project. Let me call it as a DB, and let me call it as backend, and let me call it as front end. Okay. And here users will be available who is going to access that application. The person who is accessing the application, that person is called as a user. The person who is accessing the application, that person is called as a user. User will interact with front end of the application. Front end will communicate with back end of the application. Back end will communicate with database. So this is called as our project architecture. This is called as software project architecture. So if you go for any software project, these 3 layers are common. One is the front end, second one is the back end, third one is database. So what is the database? Database is a software which is used to store the data. Database is a software which is used to store the data. There are so many databases available in the market. For example, Oracle, MySQL, MongoDB, etc. Like this, there are several databases available in the market. For every project, at least one database is required. For every project, at least one database is required. What is the purpose of the database? Database is used to store the data. Database is used to store the data. What are the databases available in the market? We are having Oracle, MySQL, MongoDB, etc. So like this, several databases available in the market. What is the purpose of database? Database is used to store the data. So for every project, storage is required. To store the data in the application, to store application data, we will use database. What are the databases available? We are having several databases in the market. Oracle database, MySQL database, Postgres database, SQL Server, MongoDB, Cassandra. Like that, there are several databases available in the market. Okay, next one. What is the backend? Backend contains business logic of the application. So if you go to any website, for example, if you go to a website called makemytrip.com. So in the makemytrip.com, you can see some user interface. Whatever you see with your eyes in this website, that is called front end. Here, I'm selecting Hyderabad, Mumbai, date, click on search button. When I click on search button, some code is executing in the background and it is getting the flights information it is displaying. That code is called backend code. So backend contains business logic of the application. When you perform some operation on the front end that will communicate with the backend, backend will execute the logic, will insert the records in the database, will fetch the records from the database. So here, to develop that backend, there are several technologies are available: Java, .NET, Python, Node.js, PHP, etc. So like this, there are several technologies are available. These technologies are used to develop backend of the application. There are several databases available. They are used to store the data. Database is used to store the data. Backend will contain business logic of the application. To develop that application business logic, we can use Java, we can use .NET, we can use Python, we can use Node.js, or we can use PHP. The next one, front end. What is front end? Whatever you can see on the website, that is called user interface. That user interface is called as a front end. I want to find out the hotels available in Goa. Okay, I want to go for Goa for a trip. I want to find out what are the best hotels available. So I can select the location as Goa and what date you want to book the hotel. I want to book the hotel for August 20. Okay, to August 26. Like this, click on apply. So I'm selecting some details and I'm clicking on search button. Whatever I'm selecting here, that is called user interface. When I click on this, a calendar is opening. That is called user interface. When I click on this, calendar is opening. When I click on this, the locations are opening. I want to go for Bangkok. That means if I'm selecting this, so the locations are coming here, right? So whatever you see on the website, that is called user interface. User interface is called as a front end. To develop the user interface, people will use HTML and CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, JavaScript, Bootstrap. These are common. Then either they will go with the Angular or React to develop our front end. So this is called as project architecture. The person who is using our application, that person is called as user, or that person is called as a client. Client will access our application. This is our application architecture. Software project. What is the purpose of software project? Collection of programs. Front-end programs will be available. Back-end programs will be available. Collection of programs is called as software project. Software projects are used to reduce human efforts. Software projects are used to reduce human efforts. So they are going to automate the manual works. Whatever the works we used to do manually earlier, we can automate those works by using software project. So software project contains multiple layers: front-end layer, back-end layer, database layer. What is the purpose of a front-end? Front-end layer. Front-end contains user interface, nothing but presentation layer. So whatever you see on the website, that is called as presentation layer. To develop presentation layer in the project, these technologies are available: HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, Angular, or React. By using these technologies, developers will develop front end of the application. When client performs some operation on the front end should communicate with the back end of the application. Back end will contain business logic. Back end will contain business logic. Front end nothing but user interface. UI will be available. Back end contains business logic. Back end contains business logic. DB is used for storage. DB is used for storage. This is called as software application architecture. Because we are going to work as a DevOps engineer. When we are working as a DevOps engineer, we should also know what is our application architecture, what database we are using in the project, what technology is used to develop back end of the application, what technology is used to develop front end of the application. We are not going to develop front end. We are not going to develop back end. We are not going to develop database because we are not the developers. We are the DevOps engineers. Our roles and responsibilities are different. Our roles and responsibilities are different. Who is responsible to do the development? Developers will be available in the project. Developers will develop the project. We need to deliver the project as a DevOps engineer. Now I will explain. What are the roles of the developers? What are the roles of the testers? What are the roles of the DevOps engineers? Got my point? So see here, this is called application architecture. 3 layers will be available. By using these technologies, developers will develop the application. Are you guys clear with the architecture of the application? I have not started anything related to DevOps, guys. First, I'm giving the overview of software project architecture. So what is the software? What is software project? What is the architecture? What technologies are available? What is the responsibility of developer? What is the responsibility of the DevOps engineer? Those things I'm explaining now. I'm not talking anything about DevOps now, because if I explain about the DevOps now, you may not understand things clearly. So some basics first we need to know about the software project. Then we will understand what we need to do as a DevOps engineer in the project. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Are you clear with application architecture? Could you please respond in the chat box? Please respond in the chat box. Are you able to follow me? Shall I proceed further? Very good. Thank you, guys. Good. Thanks for confirmation. So we understood what is application architecture. what layers will be available, what technologies will be used to develop our application. Okay. Next one, if you go for software application, guys, we will be having development team. We will be having development team, and we will be having testing team. We will be having testing team, and we will be having operations team. If you go for any project, if you go for any software project, these three teams will be available in the project. One is called as development team, second one is called as testing team, and the third one is called as operations team. Development team will be available, testing team will be available, and operations team will be available. So project, if you want to complete the project, then in the project, these three teams will be available. One is called as development team, second one is called as testing team, third one is called as operations team. So as a DevOps engineer, we will be called as operations team. DevOps team is called as operations team in the project. Now, first let's understand what are the roles of the development team. So what development team will do in the project? Development team understand the requirements, understand given requirements. Clients will give requirements for the project development. Suppose I want to start one business. I want to start one e-commerce business. I want to sell my products in the online. To sell my products in the online, I need one application. I need one project. So I will tell my requirements to the company. Company will give the requirements to development team to develop the project. So here, whatever the requirements client will provide, development team is going to understand the given requirements. What is the requirement? They are going to understand. And the next one, developers are going to analyze the given requirements. So whatever the requirements we have provided, they will try to understand. They will analyze the requirement. If they have any confusion, they will ask the doubts, then we will clarify that. Okay, analyze the requirements. Once the requirements analysis got completed, then they will go for design. They will go for design, nothing but planning. They will go for planning. How to develop this project, how to develop this project, what database we need to use for the project, okay, what front-end technology, what back-end technology should be used, everything will be planned, and they are going to do the design. Once the designing got completed for the project, then those people will go for development. This is called as coding. Development will be available and they will perform coding for that. So they will use one front-end technology, they will use one back-end technology, they will use one database, and they are going to perform project development. So developers are responsible to understand the given requirements, and they are going to analyze the requirements. They are going to prepare the planning for the development, and they are going to perform the coding. That means they will write the code to develop the project. As discussed, we need to develop front end of the project. We need to develop back end of the project. So to develop the front end, some front end technologies available. To develop the back end, some back end technologies are available. So development team will perform that development activity that is called coding part. So they will understand the given requirements. They are going to analyze the requirements. They are going to design the requirements, and they will prepare the planning for the project. Then they will do the development. Once the development is completed, the developers will perform unit testing. That means whatever the code they have written, is that code working or not? That unit testing they are going to perform. Unit testing will be done by the developers, okay? And they will perform code integration. So developers will be available in multiple locations. For example, let's take my team. I'm working for a banking company as a technical lead. I'm working from Hyderabad location. Some of my team members are in Bangalore. Some of my team members are in the US. We all are working for the same project. I'm in Hyderabad. My colleague, my team members are in, some members are in the Bangalore. Some members are in the US location. Okay, they are in the Stanford, right? So here, multiple developers are working in the project from multiple locations. all the developers code should be integrated at one place, So for that, developers will perform development. They will test whatever the code they have written. Is that code working as expected or not? Once the code is working as expected, then they will, once their code is working as expected, then they will perform code integration. If any problems occurs in the code, then developers are responsible for bug fixing. So these are the roles and responsibilities of development team in the project. These are the roles and responsibilities of development team in the project. Development team roles in the project. So guys, come on. Can you read these points? What things that will be done by development team in the project? For every project, 3 teams will be available. One is called as development team. Second one is called as testing team. And the third one is called as operations team. Third team is called as operations team. Are you able to follow this? Development team will be available, testing team will be available, and operations team will be available. What are the roles and responsibilities of the development team? Development team is responsible to understand the given requirements, analyze the requirements which are given, then prepare the planning for that project development. Then once the planning is completed, then go for coding part. They will write the code by using some technology, Java or Python or .NET, whatever it is. They will perform the planning, then they will do the coding. Once the coding is completed, they will perform unit testing. Unit testing, nothing but whatever the code first developer has written, is it working or not, he will test it. Whatever the code second developer has written, his code is working or not, he will test it. That is called unit testing. So whatever the code they have written, they are going to verify that code is working as expected or not. Once the unit testing is completed, if the code is working as expected, all the developers' code will be integrated at one place. As I told you, developers will be working from different locations for the same project. All the developers' code should be integrated at one place. They will perform code integration. If any bugs occur, if any code, if any functionality is not working, then developers are responsible to fix the problems in that code. That is called bug fixing. These are called as roles and responsibilities of the developers. Development team will perform these activities in the project. Okay. Now here, as a DevOps engineer, we are called as operations team. As a operations team, what are our roles and responsibilities? What we need to do in the project as a operations team? As a operations team, first thing, we need to set up infrastructure. We need to set up infrastructure. In order to run the application, we need some machines. We need some servers. We need database. Okay. As an operational engineer, we need to set up the database in the cloud platform. In order to run the backend of the application, we need some servers. In order to run front end of the application, we need some servers. That is called infrastructure. Infrastructure, nothing but machines, servers, network, security, storage. All these things comes under infrastructure setup. Infrastructure, nothing but machines, servers, network, storage, security. Storage and security. So all these things we need to set up, which is required for our project. Okay. As an operational engineer, as a DevOps engineer, we are not going to write any code for the project. We need to set up infrastructure for the project. So for our project, 50 computers are required, 10 servers are required, network is required, storage is required, security is required. So as a DevOps engineer, we are primarily responsible to set up infrastructure. Earlier, people used to set up the infrastructure manually, but nowadays, people are using Terraform to set up the infrastructure. So as a DevOps engineer, the very first thing that we should know, Terraform. What is this Terraform? Terraform is used to create infrastructure in the cloud platform. What is infrastructure? Computers are required to run the project. Database is required for the project. Network is required for the project. storage is required for the project, security is required for the project. So earlier, people used it to purchase everything. Nowadays, people are not interested to purchase anything. I want to take for rent. Cloud computing is available. I will take computers from AWS. I will take network from AWS. I will take storage from AWS. I will take security from AWS. So we need to set up infrastructure. Set up infrastructure using Terraform. To set up the infrastructure in the cloud platforms, we are going to use one tool that is called Terraform. Once the infrastructure setup is completed, we need to perform configuration management. Okay. Now I have taken some computers. In those computers, I want to install Python software. My application is developed by using Python. I want to run the Python application. So installing the Python software, installing the servers that are required for the Python. Suppose if it is a Java application, install the Java software. Okay, install the Java software. So here we need to install some softwares. We need to copy some files from one machine to another machine that we are going to perform by using configuration management. To perform configuration management for the project, we are going to use Ansible. Are you guys clear with my point? As a DevOps engineer, what we need to do? DevOps engineers are called as operations team. As an operational team member, we are not going to perform the coding because coding is the task that will be done by developers. As a DevOps engineer, we are not going to write the code. As a DevOps engineer, we need to set up the infrastructure. So to set up the infrastructure, we will use a Terraform software. We need to perform configuration management. That means we need to install the softwares in the machines. For that, we are going to use Ansible. Okay. Then we are going to, after infrastructure created, configuration management is created, set up repositories. Set up repositories. Here we are going to use GitHub. So developers will write the code, right? Developers code should be integrated at one place. For that, we need to set up repositories and RBAC. Okay. We need to set up the repositories and we need to provide role-based access for the developers. For all the developers, I don't want to give all the permissions because in the development team, some freshers will be available, some experienced people will be available. Based on that person role, I want to provide the access for that. So to integrate the code, we need one repository. That repository creation will be done by DevOps engineer. As an operational engineer, we are going to create the repositories. What is RBAC? RBAC nothing but role-based access. RBAC nothing but role-based access. RBAC. So we need to create the GitHub repository for the project. In that repository, we need to provide permissions for the developers to push the code, to take the code. So that set repository management, repository role-based access is our responsibility as a operational engineer. Then after, we are responsible to create CI/CD pipeline. We are responsible to create CI/CD pipeline jobs by using Jenkins. We are going to create CI/CD pipeline jobs by using Jenkins. What is the purpose of this Jenkins? Jenkins is used to automate our project build and deployment process. So developers are writing the code. Developers' code will be integrated in the GitHub repository. So once the code is integrated in the GitHub repository, as an operational engineer, we are responsible to create the CI/CD pipelines. What is that CI/CD pipeline? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. Whatever the code is available in the GitHub, whenever developers modify the code in the GitHub, immediately I want to deploy that code in the server. Instead of doing the deployment manually, we are going to use CI/CD pipelines to automate our project deployment process. You see here, we have seen Jenkins CI/CD software. What is the purpose of this? To automate build and deployment process. Okay. As an operational engineer, we are responsible to set up infrastructure in the project. We are responsible to perform configuration management. We are responsible to set up repositories, and we are responsible to manage permissions, role-based access, create CI/CD pipeline jobs, deploy the application, application deployments, build and deployments, and monitoring. Okay, so we are going to create the CI/CD pipeline jobs in the project. We are going to perform build and deployments in the project. Once our application is deployed, then we need to monitor the application. So there are several tools available to do the monitoring. Grafana, Prometheus available, EFK stack is available in order to do the monitoring. Okay, so these are the roles of DevOps engineer. So these are the roles of the developers in the project. These are the roles of operational engineers in the project. So as a DevOps engineer, you will be called as operations team member. You are responsible to perform these operations in the project. Guys, now tell me, do you need to have coding knowledge to learn the DevOps? Now, by looking at this, can you tell me, do you need coding knowledge to learn the DevOps? Do you need coding knowledge to learn the DevOps? Is there anything that we are going to deal with coding part as a operations team? So many people asked this question in the first class. Sir, do I need to learn Java? Sir, do I need to learn Python to learn the DevOps? Now, you see the roles of the DevOps team. You see the roles of the DevOps team. You see the roles of the development team. You see the roles of the DevOps team. As a DevOps engineer, you are responsible to set up infrastructure. What is the meaning of infrastructure? Computers, servers, network, storage, security. This is called as infrastructure. We are responsible to set up that infrastructure. We are responsible for configuration management. We are responsible to set up repositories, and we are responsible to provide permissions. We are responsible to create CI/CD pipeline jobs using Jenkins. We are responsible to perform build and deployments. We are responsible to perform monitoring, how our infrastructure is running, how our machines are working, how our applications are working. Is there any health issue for the application? Is there any issue in the infrastructure? Is there any issue in the project deployment? Okay, those things we need to monitor. If there is any problem, we need to fix that problem. So development team is responsible to perform these activities. Operations team is responsible to perform these activities. So now in this course, you are going to learn infrastructure setup for the project. You are going to learn configuration management for the project. You are going to learn GitHub repositories. You are going to learn role-based access management. You will learn the CI/CD pipelines using Jenkins. You will learn project build and deployments by using Docker and Kubernetes. You are going to learn infrastructure monitoring and application monitoring. So to do this, all these things, you need to learn these concepts, guys. You need to learn the Linux operating system with the shell scripting. You need to learn all these DevOps tools, and you need to learn all these AWS cloud services. Then you can perform these operations in the project as a DevOps engineer. So day to day, as a DevOps engineer, you will be getting the tasks related to these activities only. Guys, quickly revise what development team will do in the project, what operations team will do in the project. Guys, am I going speed, or is my voice clear for everyone? Am I going speed, or you are able to follow me? So this is a second class for you guys. This is second class for you. So it may take some time to habituate with my voice, to habituate with my explanation. No worries, because we have not started anything related to the DevOps. Just we are understanding very basic introduction part. We are understanding very basic introduction part. If I am going little speed, so please let me know in the chat box. If I'm going speed, please let me know in the chat box so that I will go slow. And I'm repeating every concept 2 to 3 times. Maybe in the first time, you may not understand. In the second time, you may not understand, but in third time, you will understand. I'm repeating every concept for 2 to 3 times. Okay. For repeating, I'm repeating every concept 2 to 3 times. And I'm maintaining the running notes also. I will share all these notes with you in the WhatsApp group. I have created a WhatsApp group for you people, right? So if you join in that group, after this class is completed, you will get the class video, you will get the class notes also. So that is the reason I asked you several times to join in the group. If you join in the group, you will only get that benefit. You will get the notes and you will get the video. These images also you are going to get in that group. All good? So today we are trying to understand application architecture. In application architecture, we can see 3 layers available. Front end will be available, back end will be available, database will be available. So client, the person who is accessing our application, he is called as a client. He will communicate with the front end. Okay. Front end will contain user interface. When you perform some operation on the user interface, it will communicate with the backend. Backend project contains business logic. Core logic will be available. Code will be available in the backend to perform the operation. Backend will communicate with the database. Database is used for storage. Database is used for storage. Good. Now, in the project, several teams will be available. Who is responsible for which activity in the project? Mainly in the project, we can see 3 types of teams, guys. One is called as development team. Second one is called as operations team. Third one is called as testing team. What are the roles and responsibilities of development team in the project? Development team is responsible to understand project requirements. Client will give the requirements to develop the project. So development team is responsible to understand the given requirements. Then they are responsible to analyze the requirements. They are going to responsible to analyze the requirements. Once analysis is completed, then they will go for planning. They will prepare a plan for the development activity. Then they will start the coding part. Multiple developers will be available in the team. They will be working on the different functionalities in the project. They will write the code. Once the code is completed, they will test whether their code is working as expected or not. Whatever the code I have written, I need to test my code is working as expected or not. Okay. So like this, developers will perform unit testing. Once the unit testing is completed, if they feel that code is working as expected, then they will perform code integration. All the developers' code will be placed at one place, that is called as code integration. Once the code integration is done, if any issues occurs, then developers are responsible to do the bug fixing. So these are the activities will done by development team in the project. Then coming to operations team. Operations team, nothing but our DevOps team. So what are the responsibilities of DevOps team in the project? DevOps team is not responsible for coding, first thing. For the coding, development team will be available. So DevOps team is responsible for infrastructure setup. Infrastructure means to run the project, we need some machines, we need some servers, we need some network, we need some storage, we need security. All these things we need to set up to run our project. So that is called infrastructure setup. Earlier, people will do this infrastructure setup manually, but nowadays we are automating that infrastructure setup using a software called Terraform. Terraform is used to automate infrastructure in the cloud platform. Once infrastructure setup is completed, we need to install some software. We need to copy some files in several machines. Instead of doing that manually, we will automate that by using Ansible. That is called configuration management. We are responsible for infrastructure setup. We are responsible for configuration management. And we are responsible for repository setup and RBACs. Developers' code should be integrated. Where they are going to integrate the code? In the repository. So GitHub repositories, Bitbucket repositories, Nexus repositories, JFrog repositories, we need to set up and we need to manage permissions for that thing. Which developer should commit that code? Which developer can modify the code? Which developer can write, can read? Those permissions we can decide in the repositories, that is called RBACs. We are responsible for that. Then we are responsible to create CI/CD pipelines to automate build and deployment of the application. Create CI/CD pipeline jobs for build and deployment process. CI/CD nothing but continuous integration and continuous deployment. Code will be available in one place, server is available in another place. We need to take the code and we need to deploy that code. For that, we are going to use CI/CD process. So that CI/CD pipeline we need to create. For CI/CD pipeline, we are going to use this Jenkins software. Perform the build and deployments of the projects. To do the build and deployment of the application, we will use Maven, we will use Docker, we will use Maven, we will use Docker, and we are going to use Kubernetes. Excuse me. Maven we are going to use as a build tool to compile the project, and Docker we will use for containerization. Kubernetes we will use for orchestration. So we are responsible to create the pipeline and we are responsible to build and deploy the projects. Do the build and deployments, we will use Maven, Docker, Kubernetes and all. Okay. Then next one, we are going to monitor the application. To monitor the application, we are going to work with Grafana. We are going to work with Grafana. We are going to work with Prometheus. Okay. We are going to work with EFK, Negios, EFK. Like this, there are several tools available which are used for monitoring purpose. As a DevOps engineer, we need to set up the infrastructure. We need to perform configuration management. We need to set up repositories. We need to manage role-based access. We need to create pipelines. We need to perform build and deployments. We need to monitor the application. Are you clear? Are you clear with the roles and responsibilities of DevOps engineer? Guys, come on. Configuration management, infrastructure setup, role-based access management, repository management, build and deployment, pipeline creation, monitoring, all these things we need to do in our application. Okay. So if you see this diagram, you will get more clarity what we are going to do as a DevOps engineer. So we need to work with the cloud platform as a DevOps engineer. We need to work with the cloud platform. For the cloud platform, we are going to use AWS. Okay. In the AWS, we need to set up infrastructure. To set up infrastructure in the cloud platform, we are going to use a Terraform. Once the infrastructure is created, we need to install some softwares. For that, we need to do configuration management. For the configuration management, we are going to use this Ansible. AWS, Terraform, Ansible. AWS is cloud, which is going to provide infrastructure. Terraform to create the infrastructure in the cloud. Ansible to manage configurations in the infrastructure. Then after, GitHub will be available. GitHub is a repository where the project code will be stored by the developers. Developers will perform code integration. All the developers' code will be integrated at one place. That is called repositories. Which developer should write the code to the repository? Which developer should have only read permission? That RBACs we are going to perform. Then next one, SonarQube. We are going to perform code review by using this SonarQube. We need to set up the SonarQube software. Then we are going to set up a Jenkins. Jenkins is a CI/CD software to do this complete deployment. So we need to take the code from the GitHub. We need to build that code by using Maven. We need to review that code by using Sonar. We need to store that code artifact in the JFrog. We need to Dockerize that application. We need to deploy the application in the Kubernetes. We need to monitor the application by using Prometheus and Grafana. This complete process is called as DevOps CI/CD process. To do this CI/CD process, we need to learn all these tools: AWS, Terraform, Ansible, GitHub, Jenkins, Maven, Docker, Sonar, JFrog, Kubernetes, Grafana, and Prometheus. So we are going to work on we need to set up our project like this. AWS Cloud, Terraform, Ansible, GitHub, Jenkins, Maven, Docker, Sonar, JFrog, Kubernetes, Prometheus, Grafana. Like this, we need to set up the project. Okay, to do the deployments in the Kubernetes, we will use a Helm. Helm is one of the Kubernetes component. So now if I explain what is Helm, you may not understand that. Okay, Helm is a package manager in the Kubernetes. If you want to deploy the applications in the Kubernetes, we will use a Helm. Helm is part of Kubernetes. Helm is a part of Kubernetes. Helm is one topic in the Kubernetes. Okay, it is called as a package manager in the Kubernetes, which is used to install the softwares in the Kubernetes. Helm is called Kubernetes package manager. It's too early to talk about the Helm. Okay, in the Kubernetes, we are going to learn what is a Helm chart. Are you guys clear with my point? What are the roles of the DevOps team in the project? What are the roles of DevOps team in the project? Look at this diagram. You should get the complete picture what we are going to do as a DevOps engineer. So as a DevOps engineer, you are going to work with these tools in the project. Good. Next one. What are the responsibilities of the testing team? Testing team is going to understand the requirements. They will also analyze the requirements. How developers will understand the requirements? Similarly, testers also will understand the requirements. They will analyze the requirements. They will prepare test plan. Okay, how to execute the application? They are going to prepare a test plan. Okay, prepare the test plan, execute the test plan. Execute test plan, identify bugs in the project. Identify bugs and report bugs. Okay, so whatever the code is done by the developers, is that code working as expected or not? Testers will do complete testing, integration testing. All the developers code will be integrated, right? When all the developers code is integrated, then testers are responsible to prepare the test plan, execute the test plan, identify the bugs, and report the bugs for the development team. System integration testing, complete system testing they are going to perform. Okay, now they are going to provide QA sign off. That means quality assurance. QC, QA will be done. QA sign off. That means once the project testing is completed, if everything is working as expected, QA sign off will be done. That means testing team is going to tell that this project is tested, this is working as expected, we can deliver this project to the client. Like that, QA team is going to give the sign up for the project. Once the QA team is provided sign up for the project, then we are going to deliver that project to the client. As a operational engineer, we are responsible to deliver that project to the client. Okay, so testing team will identify or will understand the given requirements. They will analyze the requirements. They will prepare the test plan. They will execute the test plan. They will identify the bugs and they will report the bugs. And they will do QA sign off. QA sign off nothing but, okay, this project is having quality. This project is working as expected. We can deliver this project to the client. Like that, they will provide QA sign off. Once the QA sign off is done, then we are going to deliver that project to the client. Operations team is responsible to deliver that project to the client. Are you guys clear with my point? Now, here, what is DevOps? Okay, so what is DevOps? So you may get a question, what is DevOps? Guys, DevOps is the combination of development plus operations. So if you see DevOps is the combination of development plus operations. So for every project, development team will be available, operations team will be available. The collaboration between the development team and operations team is called as DevOps. We can say DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a culture. We can say DevOps is a process. We can say DevOps is set of practices. So these all are the definitions for the DevOps. What is the DevOps? DevOps nothing but development plus operations. DevOps is called as a culture. DevOps is called as a process. DevOps nothing but set of practices. What is the purpose of this DevOps? DevOps is used to DevOps practices, DevOps process is used to establish collaboration between development and operations. Okay. In a project, developers will be available and operations teams will be available. Developers are working on the project for the development activity. Operations people are working on the infrastructure, configurations, deployment, release activity. So here, what work is doing by the development team, what work is doing by the operations team, both teams should know. What development team is doing, operations team should know. What operations team is doing, development team should know. So that means there should be some collaboration between the development team and operations team. That's where this DevOps culture came into picture. DevOps is not a technology, guys. DevOps is not a technology. DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a process. DevOps nothing but set of practices. What is the purpose of this DevOps? DevOps process is used to establish collaboration between development and operations team. The main aim of the DevOps is to establish the interaction between the development team and operations team and deliver project to the client quickly with a high quality. The main aim of DevOps, the main aim of DevOps is to provide high quality software to client within less time. Okay, so we need to deliver the projects to the client. Client is giving the requirements to the company. Developers are working on that. Developers are writing the code. Operations team is doing some infrastructure setup, build and deployments. So here, development activities are available, operations activities are available. We need to combine the development activities and operational activities. Then only we can deliver project to the client. So as a DevOps guy, we should be focusing on how to deliver project to the client in the less time with the high quality by providing all these operations. Development team will be available. They will write the code. We need to deploy that code. We need to deliver that code. We need to monitor that application. These are our responsibilities as a DevOps engineer. What is a DevOps? DevOps nothing but development plus operations. The full form, Dev plus Ops. Nothing but development plus operations is called as DevOps. What is this DevOps? DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a process. DevOps nothing but set of practices. What is the purpose of this DevOps? Why we are using DevOps in the projects? Why DevOps is having more demand in the market? DevOps process is used to establish collaboration between development team and operations team, because both are working on the project. Without a development team, no project. Without operations team, no project. Developers are required, operations are required. Development is required, operations is required. When the two teams are working on the same goal, there should be some collaboration. That's where this DevOps process came into picture. What is the main aim of the DevOps? Why companies are following the DevOps process? The main aim of this DevOps is to provide high quality software to clients within less time. So quickly, we need to deliver the project with high quality. That is the reason we are going to follow this DevOps practices. Infrastructure, within fraction of minutes, we should be able to set up the infrastructure. We need to automate that. We need to perform configure. In 1,000 machines, I want to install Java. Within fraction of seconds, we should be able to install the softwares in 1,000 machines. I want to deploy my code. Within fraction of seconds, I need to deploy my code and I need to deliver that code. So that's where this DevOps process became very popular in the market. DevOps engineers are having a lot of demand in the market because for every project, DevOps engineer is required to set up infrastructure, to perform configuration management, to manage the repositories, to perform role-based access, to set up the pipelines for the deployment, to do the build and deployments, to monitor the application, to monitor the infrastructure, operations engineer is required. So that's why DevOps is having more and more demand in the market. DevOps engineers are getting high salaries in the market. Are you guys clear? What are the roles of the developers? What are the roles of the operations team? What are the roles of the testing team? What is the DevOps and why? What is the main goal of the DevOps? Can you please read this? What is the DevOps? Can you please read it? What is the DevOps? DevOps nothing but development plus operations. DevOps is a culture. DevOps is a process. DevOps nothing but set of practices. DevOps process is used to establish collaboration between development team and operations team. Okay, development team and operations team will be available. Both are working on the same project. There should be some collaboration between them. For that, we are going to use DevOps. What is the main purpose of the DevOps? What is the main aim of the DevOps? The main aim of DevOps is to provide high quality software to clients within less time. That means quick deployments with quality. The main aim of the DevOps is to provide, DevOps is to deliver projects to clients with a high quality in less time. The main aim of DevOps is to deliver projects to clients with a high quality in the less time. So to establish collaboration between the development team and operations team, DevOps came into picture. Are you guys clear? What is DevOps? Why we are going for DevOps? What is the benefit we are getting with the DevOps? Everything we are going to automate by using DevOps. So that's why we are going to use several tools to automate these things, right? These tools are called as the DevOps tools. So if you want to become a DevOps engineer, you need to learn these tools. By using these tools, we are going to automate complete project operations. We are going to automate all the operations in the project. Got it? So today we discussed mainly two topics. What is application architecture? What are the roles of the teams in the project? So tomorrow we are going to understand DevOps lifecycle. Okay. So tomorrow we are going to learn DevOps lifecycle. Next topic, DevOps lifecycle. As I told you, first module is related to DevOps world. What is DevOps? Why DevOps? What tools available in the DevOps? What is the purpose of each tool? What is the DevOps lifecycle? Those things we are going to learn. So mostly tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we will complete theoretical part related to DevOps. In the next 2 days, we will complete the theoretical part. Once this theoretical part is completed, then we will start with the Linux. Got it? So we will start our journey with the Linux operating system. But before going to start the Linux, you need to get some clarity on these concepts. That's why we are talking about the introduction part for the course, especially for non-IT people. You should know all these things. What is project? What is project architecture? What layers will be available? What technologies will be available? What developers will do in the project? What operations team will do in the project? What testing team will do in the project? What is the DevOps? Okay. Why we are going for DevOps? What is the DevOps life cycle? All these things we need to learn. Another 2 days it will take to complete the theoretical part. Then we will jump into practicals with Linux operating system. Okay, good. Thank you guys.